Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be making a recipe for homemade Nutter Butters, the sandwich cookies that are shaped like peanut butters filled with a peanut butter filling and are absolutely delicious. Today we are going to be making a homemade version because they look so stinking cute. The technique on making the cookies looks so great. You just take some peanut butter dough, 2 little balls like little butt cheeks, and then press them with the tines of a fork, just as you would a typical peanut butter cookie. And then you get these little cross hatch marks impressed into the cookies. You take 2 of those and then you put some peanut butter spread in the middle. Not peanut butter spread, but sweetened peanut butter filling in the middle. Sandwich 2 of those cookies together and you've got a homemade Nutter Butter. I just want to know what it tastes like. I want to press the cookie dough with the tines of a fork because I'm just feeling that. So today we're going to make them. A, to see as always what it tastes like, and B, just so we can have that squishy dough experience. You know, the embossing of, I'm feeling that today. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's recipe comes from Crowded Kitchen, and I'll put a link to the original recipe down below. Honestly, there's not that many places to hide a bowl. Like a big glass bowl. It's not in my drawer. Oh, it's in the microwave, right, because I melted some butter. So the recipe calls for using a hand mixer, but I imagine you could do this without a hand mixer if you don't have one. It will just take a little more time and, of course, elbow grease. So recently I've been on a bit of a peanut butter kick. Not sure why. That's often what happens, I feel. I get on some kind of kick, and maybe it's just because my mind is open to whatever that might be, whether it be some exercise, some ingredient, and then suddenly I find it repeating itself. So peanut butter is the current obsession. Not really obsession, but fascination. Yes, it's appeared a few times, and I'm here to embrace it because I've never really been a huge peanut butter fan, except when I was pregnant with my second kid. That pregnancy really taught me to appreciate peanut butter. But I've never been a fanatic, but maybe this recipe will change things. So in this bowl, I've got 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter that I've melted, and this is salted because I feel like whenever I do a peanut butter recipe, salt, especially if it's a sweet one, salt is necessary. There's something about peanut butter that loves salt and sugar. My favorite store-bought peanut butter treat, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, I feel like that's the signature for me. It has to be significantly salty, the peanut butter portion. So with that, I'm adding sugar, 1 cup. I'm going to thoroughly stir my peanut butter, and the recipe very specifically says that this recipe was created with a natural style creamy peanut butter. They even said Costco organic, which I just happen to have because this is what they sell at my local Costco. Not necessary to have this exact peanut butter, but the recipe does say the peanut butters that are sweetened may not work the same way because this peanut butter is not sweetened. It's just ground up peanuts. So I happen to like that sweetened version for recipes, some recipes, especially the like 3 ingredient peanut butter cookies. So good. Have you made those? If you haven't, it's just egg, peanut butter, and what's the last ingredient? Sugar. So good. All right, cup of peanut butter. Boom. That's gorgeous. Make sure we scrape all of that out. And I do believe it's pretty important that the peanut butter be the creamy variety because Nutter Butters do not have any peanut bits in them. You know what I mean? Mix this until it's nice and smooth. Okay, so that is runnier than I expected, but it's butter, right? We've got a cup of melted butter in here. Now we're going to add 2 eggs, 1 at a time, and we're going to mix with each addition. Oh yeah. That immediately thickens the batter, I think for a couple reasons, because the egg emulsifies things, but also because it's a little bit cold, so it stiffened up the butter. Lovely. Now we're going to add a bloop of vanilla, 2 bloops of vanilla, loop, ooh, generous loops of vanilla, and our final egg. Plop. That smells great. Peanut buttery, vanillaed, fantastic. Starting off solid. Okay, we're gonna set that aside, and now we're going to mix our dry ingredients. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And this is interesting. Cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Apparently this is supposed to help with the texture, make them a little bit crunchy. And I happen to have a 2 tablespoon measure, which turns out to be very convenient. Use that a lot. Some leavening. We have baking powder and baking soda. We need a teaspoon of each. Boop, boop. Give this a little stir to get everything incorporated before we add it to the wet ingredients. I'm gonna do this in a couple batches here. We just want to mix this until the dry is incorporated. Like always, when it comes to cookies, do not overbeat. They say it's because you don't want your cookies to go tough. I can hear the motor straining a bit, so I'm going to take my whiskers out and do the rest by hand using my Danish whisk or bread whisk. Really great for stiff, thick batters or doughs. I have to say I like cookie recipes that use melted butter simply for the fact that I never seem to have room temperature butter at hand, and I have to either, beat it or have to do something to it to get to the right temperature. But if you have melted butter, then you just microwave it. So great, so great. Oh, this looks so delectable. Alrighty, now we're gonna exercise some patience and cover this. We have to do this because we want our cookies to be shaped like little peanuts. And in order to shape them correctly, we need to let the dough chill a bit. So I will be back at least an hour. I'm probably gonna give it a bit longer. It's pretty hot today, so let this chill completely so that we can form our little balls and then we can press them with a fork. Alrighty, lovelies, I'll see you in a little bit and we will shape our cookies and bake them and then fill them and then eat them. Yes, eat them. Alrighty, lovelies, we're back with our chilled dough and we're going to shape our little peanut cookies. So here is our chilled dough. It looks like some of the butter kind of solidified on the sides here. It did look a little greasy going into the fridge. So, I try to mix it in, but the dough is stiff. We want that because it's gonna be easier to shape the dough that way, but I'm trying to incorporate some of this butter. So each cookie will be made up of 2 teaspoon balls, 2 1 teaspoon balls. So like that. I'm just gonna use my teaspoon measure and scoop out a hemisphere. So the recipe has you measure out the dough first and then roll them into balls, but I think using a teaspoon like this gives you kind of a hemispherical shape already. So I think we're kind of good. So I'm just scooping the dough and then using my thumb to push the dough out. And we're supposed to space them about 1.5 inches apart. Claire Saffitz also made a homemade version of Nutter Butters. I have her cookbook, Dessert Person, and she makes great homemade recreations. And she even went to the length of making her own Nutter Butter cookie mold, so it would have that iconic peanut shape. I mean, go Claire. The recipe calls for rolling them into balls and putting the balls together like that, then pressing the tines of a fork in. So maybe I should do that too. Let's try both methods and see what happens. I've also got my oven preheating at 325 degrees. So those were made with a teaspoon, so they're a little bit flatter. And these were rolled into balls. And what we're supposed to do is go one way like this. Ooh, we might need to dust these in flour. So the tines of the fork are sticking to the dough, so I'm going to dust it with a bit of sugar to keep them from sticking. Let's try that again. Dust, dust. better. Yeah, that's cute. Press. Yes, definitely working. So dust with a fork. So maybe the ball technique works better. Gives you more height to press into the dough. So yeah, maybe it is worth rolling the ball of dough out. Get a better embossing or imprint. Pretty similar. I will bake these at 325 for 13 to 15 minutes until they are a little bit golden on the edges, and we're gonna let them cool completely, and then we'll fill them with our filling. So I'm gonna bake these first, and we'll come back, make a filling, and make our Nutter Butter sandwich cookies, and finally give them a taste. Alrighty, lovelies, I have an army of baked cookies. Now it's time to make the filling. So, peanut butter. Again, we've got a half a cup, same natural creamy style peanut butter. And to that, we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla, bloop, and a cup of powdered sugar, boop. And I'm going to add a healthy pinch of salt. We also have some milk to thin everything down, and we will add that 1 tablespoon at a time. I'm going to use the electric mixer to mix. A little dry, so 1 tablespoon of whole milk. The recipe calls for placing this in a piping bag, but real Nutter Butters, the filling is pretty thick, kind of like Oreos, like this kind of dough consistency, but this is not very spreadable, that's for sure. So let's add 1 more tablespoon. This consistency, I think, is truer to the original, but we won't be able to pipe it, so okay, now let's work that. Okay, this is becoming a little more spreadable. I still don't think it's pipeable, but we could just smash this between the 2 cookies. Is this gonna be enough filling? So we've got 5½ dozen cookies, but divide that in half. So 5 times 12 is 60 cookies, 66 cookies divided by 2. So that'll give us 33 cookies. Can I divide this into 33 even balls or portions? I think so. So now we're going to assemble. I bake the cookies for 15 minutes, and immediately I can tell that the cookies are going to be different than Nutter Butters. They seem a little bit fluffier, a little bit softer, perhaps not as crunchy. Based on transferring them onto a rack, they feel a little bit different, but they are very cute. Look at this little chubby cookie, definitely wider and thicker than a store-bought Nutter Butter. Rather than using a piping bag, I'm just gonna take one of my little balls of filling and smear it out like this, and I'm just gonna smush it in between 2 cookies, kind of like that. Smush, smush, smush. I feel like it's a little bit closer to the OG, you know what I mean? Rather than being really soft and icing-like, we're gonna have that, and then we're gonna take the other half and put it on like that. Look how cute. Super cute. Super, super, super cute. She's definitely thick. All right, I'm gonna continue doing this, and then we'll finally give these a taste. Righty lovelies, finally we have our finished homemade Nutter Butters, and they came out pretty stinking cute. Look at them. Definitely have a homemade quality to them, don't they? They're chubbier, a little bit wider, a little bit thicker, but pretty stinking cute, right? Alrighty, now let's give them a taste. Let's break it open. So it looks like inside. Oh, I need a glass of milk, but I don't have one. Okay, 9 minutes left for my next batch of cookies. Alrighty, let's give them a taste. Itadakimasu. Mmm. Those are good. They do not taste like Nutter Butters. First of all, the texture is not Nutter Buttery. Just the cookie. It does have a sandiness that I associate with a peanut butter cookie. Kind of a sandy crumbliness. But Nutter Butters are firm. Kind of similar to like an Oreo cookie or other sandwich cookies. There's kind of a crunch to them. These are crumblier and fluffy. Having said that, they are tasty. There's a lovely butteriness to them and kind of a lightness as opposed to the kind of heavy manufactured flavor of a Nutter Butter, which are excellent, by the way. But these taste like a homemade version of a Nutter Butter, but in the best kind of way. The filling is great. Sweet, peanut buttery, a little bit salty. I like the consistency. That seems very similar to a Nutter Butter. Kind of thick, a little bit pasty, more like Oreo cream-like. I think there could be more. I might time and a half the amount of filling, just so there's a little bit more substance, more surface area of cream in terms of the ratios. So yeah, I would increase the amount of filling. Delicious. They're definitely less sweet, which I appreciate. So if you're looking for a Nutter Butter dupe, you would have to add more sugar because these are not as sweet, but I prefer them this way. But we're talking fidelity here, right? These are great. There you have it, lovelies. That's how you can make homemade Nutter Butters. I would recommend this recipe. They're delicious. They are not an exact dupe, but if you're looking for a homemade version, perhaps one that's a little less processed, lots of protein, lots of sugar, lots of deliciousness and butter. There you have it. Alrighty, my lovelies. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy that one. I hope you learned something. Oh, if you're looking for other dupe recipes, a long time ago, I made homemade goldfish crackers. I even made my own goldfish cookie cutter. Pretty fun. Alrighty, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Now it's time to share them with the kids. I think they're gonna like this one.